So, in the spirit of authenticity and for the benefit of building genuine community, I want to share with you that some days I still wake up feeling dark, and I don't entirely know why. It could be perimenopause. That's a very good reason. It could be that I've had challenges over the course of my life that are very real, that would make a really interesting book. And but I say that lightly because actually they were really hard, like really, really, really hard. And if you think that I can connect with you on a deep level, that I can identify with you when you're having really hard days or really hard seasons of life, that you're challenged by depression or anxiety, or you're having real marriage challenges, or you're really frustrated with a parent, you're having to figure out how to think about your parent as you have become a parent, if you've been challenged by so many things, suicide, depression, there are so many of those elements, those hard aspects of life that I've been touched by over the course of life. And the reason I can connect with people is because I've been there. And I still wake up sometimes feeling dark. And the very reason that I started, or that I wrote my book, Homeschool Mama Self-Care, is that there was a moment, I think in 2009, 2010, where I had a really hard morning in my homeschool, and my friend had directed me to check out a TEDx talk by Brene Brown. And there was something she said. I've watched her since and wondered, what was it she said that really clicked? Because I don't see the direct connection now. But something she said in that first TEDx talk that you can still find on YouTube, that made me realize that I had no sense of who I was. I wasn't honoring who I was. And I was not paying attention to my needs. I was not paying attention to any. And that is not an exaggeration. If you'd ask me what's your favorite ice cream, I would go, I don't know. But my kids like eating. I had no sense about myself. I wasn't thinking about what I needed or what I wanted. And I was just trying to make everybody happy, and everybody wasn't happy that morning. And it just all kind of came tumbling down in my mind. And when I was watching that TEDx talk with Brene Brown, I realized I got to get real here. But getting real meant that I had to actually feel all the feelings. And some days when I still wake up, I go, I don't want to feel those feelings of worthlessness, of feeling bad, about feeling dark and feeling like this is hard, life is hard. I don't want to feel those feelings. I remember a therapist telling me one time, what do you do with those feelings when you wake up in the middle of the night and things are really hard? And I'm like, I go walk around, I get up, I get a snack, or I watch a YouTube video to distract myself, or I turn on a meditation to try to go back to sleep. And he's like, so you don't let yourself feel those feelings? And I'm thinking, hell no. Those are really dark, hard feelings. I don't want to feel those feelings. So why would you ask me, why would I stay with those feelings? And so I've learned since then, it turns out we sometimes need to stay with those feelings. Completely counterintuitive to anything I would have guessed. Staying with the deepest, darkest, hardest feelings and saying, I am really sorry that you're feeling that way, but why? Let's go into the deep parts and say, what is the source? What's going on there? When I was at a seminar around the same time, I got to be live with Dr. Daniel Amen. He came to our town because he was bringing one of his brain scanning machines into our town. And I got to be part of a seminar. And I remember him introducing me to those 3 questions, the 3 questions that I call thought self-care, that I think are the most pivotal, the most pivotal elements to our wellness. How we're thinking. thought care that said, okay, what are you thinking? Actually ask yourself in the middle of the night when you're having a hard night, or when you wake up in the morning and you don't feel great. What are you thinking? What's the thought? Because there's always a thought behind that intense feeling. What's your thought? Are you sure it's 100% true? And the answer is no, it's not always 100% true. I know it feels like it is, or you wouldn't be feeling it. I know I was telling myself, well, of course it's true, or I wouldn't be thinking it. But all you have to do is be partnered with someone or know somebody else to realize actually how you think about things or how you received a social interaction or how you experience life isn't the way everybody's experiencing it. So it isn't always true. What's the alternative? Are there alternatives? And there always are. And when we choose a different alternative to actually practice, actually shift our neural, or not synapses, but like the brain, the words, the little pathways in our brain, when we shift how we're thinking and we say, actually, here is an alternate perspective. If I believe that alternate perspective, how does that shift how I feel? Because our thoughts are influencing how we feel. Those 3 questions had a giant impact on me back in that Brené Brown YouTube TEDx talk time. It had a huge shift, and it actually began for me a wellness path. And when in 2018 or 2019, I wrote my book about self-care for homeschool moms, really wellness for homeschool moms, in the fruit orchard beside my chicken coop. I wrote it because I was like writing down all the things, all the elements that I knew reflected my growth journey. And though I haven't told you every story behind every one of those pillars, and I tend to do that when I'm in one-on-one coaching with people because they apply, I've written those stories down in a memoir, and they would make a pretty interesting memoir, but it's hard to write a memoir that is with those stories that hard. And I also am not wanting to write a memoir to out anybody, even though everybody already knows all the stories because it is already outed, but that's in my personal world. But writing down how you feel, writing down what's gone on in here, whether it was essentially a manifesto for my wellness, that book, or learning to journal and write down your feelings, your experiences. Like, I'm actually having a writer's workshop in about an hour. Dang. Or less. And my goal in that writer's workshop is to support women sharing their stories and sharing what's true for them. My goal is to, with you, share the manifesto from my heart, my growth journey, my wellness journey, so that you have the tools or the strategies to address the things that are hard for you and to actually come out of that. I wasn't going to actually tell you this part, although it completely fits, that next Monday to Friday, I'm doing a 5-day wellness challenge in my Facebook group, the Homeschool Mama Support Group. And it is actually all the pillars of all the things that I've learned over the course of a couple decades, I guess now, and all the things that really do influence who I am today and how I handle the dark days or the dark nights of the soul. Have you heard that? But it really is the dark nights or the dark moments. So if you're in those spaces, I'm clearly doing something very Instagram counterculture here. I'm not here to make it all happy. I am here to be real and to say this is real. We homeschool moms love our homeschool lives and appreciate so many different elements of our homeschool experience. But we come into this homeschool journey a person that's had our own challenges and our own stuff, and it's gonna get worked out as we are a mother, with or without homeschooling, but homeschooling gives it so many more opportunities. So if that's you, I'm here to support you. I hope it's a great weekend.